Hello, Scrufftards. Welcome to the War Zone. I'm Scruffy, and this is Scruffy Tales. And I figured I would take a look at all the rumors about North Korean troops being deployed to Ukraine because one of my viewers highlighted that, oh, take a look at this. It's all over the place. You need to look into this. And mentioning 100,000 North Koreans being ready to be deployed to Ukraine. So that got me thinking, what? Really? Nah. Could it? So, yeah, I decided to look around a bit. Right, so we're starting off with this article from The Hill by Brad Dress. Bad press? I don't know. Anyway, so here we have North Koreans fighting in Ukraine alongside Russians, Zelensky says. And so Zelensky said on Sunday that North Korean troops are now fighting alongside Russian forces in Ukraine, appearing to confirm reports that have been circulating in recent weeks. And those reports were that a bunch of North Korean officers had been killed in the occupied territories of the Donbass after a missile strike, I believe. Or was it a drone strike? Anyway, they got killed by a Ukrainian strike. And this seems to confirm it. And here we have in Zelensky in a video address said there was an increasing alliance between Russia and North Korea, which are already cooperating on arms and technology. And this is no longer just about transferring weapons, Zelensky said. It is actually about transferring people from North Korea to the occupying military forces. And the South Koreans are saying it's highly likely that North Korean troops were deployed into Ukraine, citing that it would be consistent with a defense treaty between Moscow and Pyongyang, being the capital of North Korea. And here we have it. Local media in Ukraine also reported that a Ukrainian strike earlier this month killed North Korean officers in a strike in Russian-occupied Donetsk. So we have this to start off with, that it appears as if North Korea is providing Russia with some assistance, advisors maybe, or sending in officers to learn from Russia's experiences in Ukraine. And here we have the Washington Post. Why North Korea is sending soldiers to the Russian front lines. And this is from the 15th of October. And here we have Zelensky this week confirms reports of North Korean troops, yada yada yada. Here we have a Ukrainian military intelligence official speaking on the condition of anonymity to discuss a sensitive matter, told the Washington Post last week that several thousand North Korean infantry soldiers are undergoing training in Russia now and could be deployed to the front line in Ukraine by the end of this year. And of course, again, South Korea, they say that it's highly likely that North Korea is helping Russia. And Russia is saying, oh, it's just a hoax. But Zelensky is quoted, "We see that the alliance between Russia and such regimes as the North Korean one is getting stronger. This is not just about the transfer of weapons, this is in fact about the transfer of people from North Korea to the armed forces of the occupiers." So, are the North Koreans training in Russia? Are they just exchanging tactics and knowledge? What Russia has learned in Ukraine, is that part of the deal? They are now teaching Ukrainian troops those lessons, and in return, Russia gets ammunition and what have you from the North Koreans? Or is this actually Russia training troops to be used in Ukraine? Well, according to Ukraine, that is what's going on. Russia is in fact training thousands of North Koreans and preparing them for taking part in the war in Ukraine. Alright, so moving on to all the rumors of 100,000 troops being moved from North Korea to Ukraine to fight for Russians. And I found this article talking about all of this, and it's from this very reliable source, End Time Headlines. I'm sure it's credible as hell. End Time Headlines. Anyway, I'm gonna be talking about this, and not something from CNN or Politico or anything. I'm gonna use this extremely credible source. End Time Headlines. So anyway, up to 100,000 North Korean soldiers could be sent to bolster Vladimir Putin's forces fighting Ukraine, according to Russian reports. A leading defense expert in Moscow, Reserve Colonel Igor Gorochenko, told State TV we shouldn't be shy in accepting the hand extended to us by Kim Jong-un. And he continues, the country is ready to transfer up to 100,000 of its soldiers to Donbass, said the report by the pro-Kremlin news agency. Not by the colonel, said this report. Anyway, moving on. Pyongyang will be able to transfer its tactical units to Donbass. And in return, grain and energy would be supplied to North Korea and help them out. The claim was seized on by Korochenko, editor-in-chief of Russia's National Defense Journal on Rossiya 1 channel, who said, there are reports that 100,000 North Korean volunteers are prepared to come and take part in the conflict. He was challenged on whether they could be volunteers from North Korea. Very good point. But as someone as one of my viewers put it, not maybe volunteers, but certainly voluntold to do it. Right, so if North Korean volunteers, voluntolders, with their artillery systems, wealth of experience with counter-battery warfare, yeah, right, and large caliber multiple launch rockets that will hit everything except the target, made in North Korea, so they fire every 3 test try, want to participate in conflict, well, let's give the green light to their volunteer impulse. So this seems to be the source of the rumors of 100,000 North Koreans ready to take part in the war. This Russian propaganda spin on accepting help from North Korea. So, who is this upstanding international member, or the upstanding member of the international community, I should say, North Korea, that has decided to support Russia in Russia's war against the evil Ukrainians? Well, here we have Human Rights Watch, and they're taking a look at North Korea and events of 2023. The Democratic People's Republic, not at all a authoritarian dictatorship. It's a democratic People's Republic of Korea, which is North Korea, remains one of the most repressive countries in the world. And a 2014 United Nations Commissions of Inquiry report found that the government committed systematic, widespread, and gross human rights violations that constitute crimes against humanity. Yes. I mean, I don't know what else to say. To all the Vatniks who are watching this, there's just no way in hell you can come out and say that North Korea, they're the good guys, right? It's an evil regime that puts people into work camps, into concentration camps, and I don't know, they're breeding people to create the most functional labor force there is, right? It says the government maintains fearful obedience by using threats of torture, executions, imprisonment, and forced disappearances and forced labor. It systematically denies basic liberties, including freedom of expression, association, and religion. It does not tolerate pluralism, and it bans independent media, civil society organizations, and trade unions. I mean, this is the. I mean, if you decide to ally with North Korea and decide to bring in their troops to join you in your fighting right next to you, I mean, you are siding with a brutal and evil regime. And that kind of puts into question what kind of regime you yourself have, if we're talking about the Russians. Why would the Russian leadership, the Russian government, see it fit to ally with North Korea? I don't know. Maybe they share something. Maybe they have things in common. Maybe they are totalitarian regimes that are in no way at all democratic, and well, they do take a lot of make a lot of decisions that the rest of the world would consider to be evil, authoritarian, and oppressive, right? So that should tell you something about Putin and his lackeys in Russia if they see it uh, if they can actually ally with North Korea of all countries and accept North Korean military aid. I mean, that in itself is proof that the Russian military is getting its ass kicked by Ukraine since they need military aid from North Korea of all places. And they are so desperate for manpower, for troops, that they're bringing in troops potentially from North Korea. And this alliance, this cooperation is deepening between Russia and North Korea, one of the most evil regimes on the planet, which should tell you something about the regime in Moscow. And who else supports uh, Russia? Well, China. China is hardly one of the good guys on the planet. And Iran, again, and Iran, they're seeing that their drones are being used to strike civilian targets, and the Iranian government, they're like, sure, have more. I mean, this is an axis of evil. Russia, North Korea, China, and Iran. There's just no way around it. You can't explain this alliance in any other way. They're seeing atrocities committed by Russia against Ukrainian civilians, and they're fine with it. Well, China is a bit, yeah, really? Because China, they like the cash. They like to maintain industrial relations and trade negotiations things with the West. Sorry for that, my headset. Anyway, uh, so China, they like to maintain trade and industrial relations with the West. So they're like, maybe we okay have a couple of golf carts. We'll no, you can't have the tanks, but have some golf carts, you know. But Iran and North Korea, they are like, sure thing, use our stuff, kill as many civilians as you want. These are not nice people, and they are supporting Russia. And that should be a hint that, between killing civilians, kidnapping children, and starting wars and threatening with nuclear destruction, accepting, help from these countries might be an indication that Russia maybe isn't a good guy. It's like, the comedy skit where the two Nazis are looking at each other and having a talk, and they go, "Are we the baddies?" If you're a Vatnik, you may want to take a look at your fellow Vatnik and ask the question, are we the baddies? And since Russia is in cahoots with North Korea, it's kind of leaning towards Russia being part of the baddies, considering Russia is systematically bombing hospitals, and has been doing so throughout the Ukraine war, and has been doing so throughout the Syrian conflict, targeting hospitals and medical facilities. And kidnapping children, grabbing Ukrainian children and shipping them off to Russia and to teach them to Russian families so that they will grow up Russian, right? Not nice, to be honest. Yeah, it's Russia is killing POWs. It's on video, and you can see the aftermath of them executing POWs. It's just the list just goes on. I mean, so this, if anything, this surely must be evidence that Russia, well, they're part of the baddies. They are not the good guys in this conflict. So that's it. That's all I have for you this time around. 100,000 North Koreans to fight in Ukraine. Yeah, I mean, the Russians are talking about it, apparently. But if that's what's going on, I don't know. But I mean, it seems as if North Korea might actually be shipping troops towards Ukraine, maybe to help out policing the occupied territories, maybe. Um, Maybe the officers will get some combat experience, stuff like that. Uh, that's actually not strange, to be honest. That's something that has been ongoing throughout history, with armies shipping their troops and officers to conflict areas to learn to see what they can bring back home to their own armies and stuff like that. So we're gonna have to wait and see if North Korea actually commits troops to the conflict, or if it's just advisors or officers gaining experience, and maybe North Koreans training in Russia to take part in the experience that Russia has gathered in the conflict in Ukraine. But it's troublesome. It really is, and should not dismiss the possibility that North Korea might actually deploy troops within Ukraine. That's it. I hope I'll see you in the next one. Bye.